very good evening to you and welcome to the desk on Global Television. My name is Godwin Sunday. Now let's get into the conversation right away, but we'll begin with the price war that looms as Dangote refinery disrupts floor market dynamics, where a fierce price battle is brewing in Nigerian's petroleum downstream as Dangote refinery petrol price cuts send its shockwaves through the industry, putting pressures on importers struggling with soaring costs. With the landing cost of imported premium motor spirit, popularly known as petrol, also called, is now selling at around 929 naira, 26 kobo per litre. Concerns are mounting over the viability of fuel import and the potential market realignment driven by Dangote's competitive pricing strategy. The company's latest move to reduce its export price from 950 naira to 890 naira per litre on Saturday has sent the ripples through the market, intensifying competition and unsettling fuel importers. Some industry observers who have been speaking to journalists in confidence said some marketers expecting cargoes of imported petrol may suffer losses. They explained that by the time the cargo arrives, the landing cost will be higher than the current price of 890 naira per litre that Dangote is offering. Now let me bring us back to the studio at this point, and I have with me to do justice some of the conversation that we are having here in the studio on the desk. I have my first guest here who is with me, and he is Dr. Chime John Kennedy, who is a public policy and also he is an economist and will be doing justice to issues that borders on Nigerian and by extension all over the world. But let me first and foremost welcome you to the studio this evening.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so Dr. Chime, let's get into this conversation. First, looking at Dangote's cutting down the cost of petrol, what do you make of this development?
Well, the beauty of competition against monopoly is that in the supply-demand dynamics, when there is competition, every company, every firm tries to adopt what we call the optimum market price, where at least you should be trying to meet up with your marginal cost. So in simple economics, what it means is that just like when we started having the MTN and others, when it started initially, it was very costly. The SIM card was very costly. But with so many, when it was liberalized, with so many of the organizations entered the market, the prices came down. So what actually we're expecting is that maybe there have been what we call artificial pricing, where imported prices are hiked up. So with Dangote coming in, the price war has started. So it is good for Nigerians. In other words, as many as refineries that are coming, you will be surprised that the prices will be coming down, because number one is that there's no monopoly again. There won't be any monopoly. The imported ones are there. The ones being refined in Nigeria is there. So it is a good development for Nigerians, and we'll expect more of it to come. And
all right, but as an individual, Dr. Chime, have you been able to explore the markets to be able to test if at all the reduction has been fully implemented in the market?
Yeah, actually. In fact, I didn't even know the price came down, because I used to buy from one of those petroleum, this around me. But it was my driver that told me that some of the filling stations are now selling very cheap. So, of course, I've explored it, and it is good for me. What you used to buy at 1,030 naira, 1,100 naira, you are now buying something smaller, and then that helps you to also manage your family affairs.
Well, I can see the smiles on Dr. Chime's face right now. But let's get into the next conversation, which has to be on the U.S. deportation of illegal migrants and some of the lessons for a lot of countries. Well, reports have it that from the U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement (ICE), a total of 3,690 Nigerians are among those listed for deportation. A document titled Non-Citizens Honor the ICE non-detained docket with final orders of removal of countries of citizenship places Nigerians second among African nations, just behind Somalia, which has 4,090 citizens facing removal. Ghana follows closely with 3,228. The U.S. government has been ramping up its immigration enforcement measures, with President Donald Trump signing a series of executive orders on its first day in office, including an end to birthright citizenship for children of undocumented migrants. The ICEX report states that over 1.4 million non-citizens have final removal order, with Mexico and El Salvador topping the list. The crackdown has sparked fear among undocumented migrants, including Nigerians, many of whom have lived in the U.S. for years. Meanwhile, the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCAM, has stated that the federal government has taken measures to handle the return of affected individuals. While speaking to journalists, Abdurraham Balogun, NIDCAM's Director of Media and Corporate Affairs, confirmed that an interagency committee has been set up to manage any potential mass deportation. He said that the federal government has established an anti-agency committee comprising of Ministry of Foreign Affairs, NIDCAM, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, and the Office of the National Security Advisor, NSA, to respond to any large-scale deportation of Nigerians from the U.S. Balogun disclosed this to a pressman. However, he clarified that NIDCAM has not received any formal notification regarding Nigerians currently being processed for deportation. The situation remains fluid as both governments navigate diplomatic channels to manage the issue. Now let's bring this conversation back to the studio. Dr. Chime, when President Donald Trump assumed office, one of the first things he did was to give an executive order, and that executive order has been greeted with a lot of controversies. But looking at this deportation, it looks like a rumor. But let's go by the historical perspective. What do you make of this from an historical angle?
Okay, thank you so much. The deportation order by Donald Trump is not the first, and it's not going to be the last, actually. If we take ourselves back, in 1954, the 34th American president, Eisenhower, a Republican too, deported Mexicans. And deportation is not peculiar to America. Even in Africa, you remember in 1972, Idi Amin deported a lot of Asians. In around 2000 and something, Mugabe deported, some white farmers. Even in Nigeria in 1983, remember the Ghana must go.
The Ghana must go.
Nigerians, deported some Ghanaians. And in 1969, Ghanaians also deported Nigerians. So it is not peculiar to America. And the key word there is illegal. So I think, and if you take the conversation back before 1945, we had so many deportations. Now, the question is, I always tell my colleagues is, for policy purposes, what are the lessons, and then what do we make of it? The bottom line is, why is America doing that, and what lessons can we pick from this deportation? So historically, it is not the first time America is doing that.
Not the first time American is doing this, but then looking at this from another perspective, we'll now begin to see that the deportation has become like a strategy that the government put in place in order to enforce its own economic policies. But then American has not declined in terms of its inflation like other countries in across the world. What are the key indices that you think would make Donald Trump to come out with this? Because if it's for economic purpose, I don't think American has been deprived in any light.
Well, that is what you might think, but the truth is, the bottom line of immigration control or deportation is what we can call protectionism. That is protecting your country. And it could be either economic, it could be on security issues, it could be political, it could be policy change. For example, in terms of economic issues, most countries, when they come up with the fact that, look, that there has been a lot of burden on social services. The first group they look at the attack are migrants and probably illegal migrants. And when they look at it and say, look, these people are coming to this country and then they are not documented and they were not planned for. Unlike here, the most social services are planned for. So another one is the issue of security issue. Remember that after 9/11, there were also deportations. Even in the first term of Donald Trump, he also had a kind of immigrant problem against some group of people. He banned some people from entering. The reason they gave them was security issues. And that is where I think I want to touch my lesson. Because when they are looking at the issue of security, they can use it for deportation. I'm not saying that deportation is the best thing, but the fact is that when a country needs to protect itself, when a country is coming up with such an idea, what you will now ask is, why are they doing that? Are they right? I remember that in the 1956 deportation by Eisenhower, even legal migrants were deported. Mexicans were deported. So many. And even in our own African countries, we were not even talking about illegal then. Now, he is talking about illegal migrants. The only problem I have with is, tagging them criminals. That's the only problem. Because, yes, they are illegal, but they may not be, criminals. But then, the reason there, like I said, the bottom line is to protect their country. Nationalism. Politically, yes, it was part of his campaign. Luckily, I was in the United States in August and during the campaign, and I saw a lot of friends, a lot of my colleagues, some Democrats, some Republicans, and I shared views with them, and some were concerned. But some felt that, look, turn it around. If this to be in Nigeria, what will you do? In other words, if this is your country, would you not say, okay, you want to protect your country? But even though America is a free world, America is a place all of us want to be. That is the truth. But the question is, what they are doing, what is driving them? The drivers to this deportation is more or less protection. Protecting either economic or protecting political or protecting based on purely security reasons.
Well, Dr. Chime, prior to the election, protectionism, like you've mentioned, and nationalism, like you have also rightly mentioned, was not used as a factor to get votes and to canvass for vote. As a matter of fact, people we called illegal immigrants that have been tagged criminals today, a lot of them were some of the instrumentalities and mechanisms used to bring in Trump into government. And at this point in time, you've in power, you're sending them out of your country. Doesn't this give a bitter test to the American democracy that we tend to uphold? Are there no modalities that can be put in place to ensure that even at the long run, people get to be incorporated into the system and some form of modalities put in place to be able to legalize that migration into the United States, other than asking them to leave in large number?
Okay, like I said, they termed it illegal immigrants. And the first thing is, when you are an illegal immigrant, that means you already have, come against the law. In other words, but when you formalize your migration, when you formalize it, I do not think that you have a problem. So many people are, our people are there free and doing a lot and contributing, so well. You heard about the first female or Nigerian Brigadier General American. So many of them are doing very well. So I am not one of those. If you take it around our country, there are so many illegal migrants in Nigeria. And you know, so many of them have been accused of causing all the problems we're having. If we have good documentation, if we have good proper border policy, I'm sure Nigerians will even say, you know, come on, what is happening? So I feel that if you migrate legally to America, like if I travel, I do not expect any embarrassment at the border because I'm not going there illegally. So, but if I enter and I don't have documentation on 6 months, 7 months or down the line, well, we have not formalized your stay because documentation is the key. Like I said, is the key, so that you will also be part of the planning. I have nothing against somebody saying, "Look, you have been here, yeah, stay over. You know, your stay is no longer welcome because we don't know you are here." I'm not part of those that want to criticize that.
Well, Dr. Chime, just before we let you go on that conversation, let's even look at the implication of this border deportation right now to Nigerians,
Okay.
both at home and abroad. Are there implications even to this border pronunciation by the American president?
Of course, there are so many implications. You remember that so many, like you write in your analysis, if 3,600 and something Nigerians coming here, and well, first of all, we're going to lose the remittances we used to have. The families will lose that, and that will impact on our GDP, because the families that use that income, that invest that, that will be lost. Then again, if such a number come in unplanned, I'm happy they need come. They are thinking about reintegration policy, because that is one of the things. If you have a good reintegration policy, it will soften the negative effect of people coming in. Then, and you know that when people come in there like that, there is also a psychological problem. I know that a lot of people will not want to come in, after seeing the other side of the world. But if some of these things are planned, the border policy, like they mentioned, if we have a good control, of our border, of course, we may not be having the kind of things we're having now. So the implication for Nigeria, both economic, wise, psychologically, in terms of pressure, in terms of unemployment, they are also there for us, and there are also implications for America. For now, yes, most of these people that are chasing out are those working in their farms, and you'll be shocked that before you know it, there will be shortage of manpower too. So both countries will have both ways. They have implications.
Let me come back to you, Dr. Chime, at this point. You've seen the deportation policies and you've seen the blueprints, and we've looked at it from a historical context. But right now, are there lessons for Africans to learn, even from this whole deportation saga? Because it looks as if Africans and other developing countries are still looking at other developed countries as big brothers and want to run up to them. These big brothers are chasing some developing countries back to the countries and telling them, hey, go and develop your own country. But generally, are there lessons for us as a people to learn?
Sure. There are so many lessons. The first lesson is we need to ask ourselves, what's the level of our documentation policy? Do we really know the aliens, the immigrants that are in this country? The question is just that, is of course that is on the negative. Because something happened 5 years ago, and I was shocked. One of my relations was kidnapped. And while in the bush, he was understanding the language of those people that kidnapped them. And when he came out, after paying when he came out, you know what he said? That those people were saying that they are from not from this country, and they are going to bring their brothers for this business. What does it tell us? That so many people are here. So our documentation, the first lesson is to strengthen our documentation policy. That if you're in this country, you need to have a good identification. Yes, we have porous borders. So another lesson is to strengthen our border control. We need to, I need to strengthen our border control. Yes, the new Minister for Internal Affairs is doing a lot, but we need to do more. Because that means that for all these people that come in without documentation, without any control, they easily. That means our border control is not good. Another lesson for African countries, especially Nigeria, is I'm happy. I was glad when I heard from what NITCOM is doing, reintegration policy. People are deported. They are not criminals. Please, they are not criminals. I want to accept the fact that, yes, my brothers and sisters who are there, who are not documented and not criminals, they are not. So when they come in here, there should be a policy to reintegrate them and let them feel that, yes, they have not committed any crime. Yes, they may have gone in illegally, but then they are living for a reason. Then another lesson is to ask yourself, what is even the cause of immigration? Why are people leaving your country? Of course, people are leaving your country because there are no jobs, because the policies are harsh, because like the health policies, is almost not there. The economy, the education policy is so costly. So people want to go to get a better. If things are done well, if governance is very done the way it is supposed to, and we have good governance, of course, I bet you the level of immigration will reduce. If you go to our hospitals, if you go to, our IT personnel, almost everybody. In fact, I went for a checkup to them when I was going. When I met my doctor, I said, "Are you still there?" Each time I meet her, I said, "I hope I'll see you next time I come," because so many of these people are leaving. Good ones are leaving. So a lesson for Africa, for Nigeria, is to adopt policies that will keep our best here. That's about the thought that, So there are so many other lessons that we can look at, Our diasporan engagement policy. NITCOM said something which you read. Yes, we need to engage our other countries in terms of protocol. How are they treating our people? They are not criminals. So these are things that the African countries, developing countries should learn from what is happening in the United States.
Well, Dr. Chime, you've said countless times that Nigerians, Africans, and other nationals that have been mentioned that entered into the United States illegally are not criminals. But the word illegal migrants keep ringing a bell. And once it is not legal, it has a tendency of a criminal minded. And you've often said it's not criminal. A lot of people in the United States won't share in your position right now to say that these people are not criminal. Don't you think so?
Well, like I said, the act of illegal entry is against the policy. Yes. But
so it's a criminal act.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't say.
Let's just call it. Let's call it spade, Dr. Chibe. Can we say
it's an illegal act?
It's an illegal act, and it's a criminal-minded.
Yes,
so
but most people enter with travel, just visitation, and then they stay more than 6 months. Now, when you are there, but you see, when somebody is called a criminal, that means you are posing a problem within the country. That is not what I think I'll brand my people, because it's unlike, but the fact that they are not documented in the face of America, yes, they are criminal. They are not, you can't come to the law and say you have. Once you're on the wrong side of the law, of course, you're a criminal, or say you are an illegal person. You have committed an act of whatever they call it. So, but then. When you see somebody is criminal, take it like what we're having here. People who come in here with the mind of kidnapping, making money from they are purely criminal. That's what I'm looking at. Of course, so many people are bad. They can go and do other things. They will not be documented. So I'm just feeling that so many Nigerians, so many of these people that are being deported are good. They have good intentions.
They're just victims of circumstances.
Exactly that, because they had to leave because there's nothing for them here. They ran away.
Well, Doctor, just before we wrap up this section of the conversation, looking at Donald Trump's policy, not just that of deportation, but also along other lines, can we say that America is in the right step and taking the right decision?
Well, that is a tall order. Because, like I said, every country is sovereign. like I said, what drives people's action is that protectionism. Now, unfortunately, America is the big brother. And from all the policies they are coming up with, they are withdrawing from being the big brother. Like you mentioned, the issue of foreign aids, to withdraw it is causing some, without any sign, without any notice, it's causing a lot of problems in Africa. I know some of my colleagues here who are working with international organizations. They are losing their jobs, not just USAID. There are so many organizations that are dependent on those foreign aids. I used to be a consultant to UNDP. I used to be a consultant to UNIDO and also World Bank. So some of this help to help our people a lot. But then sudden withdrawal is not in the right direction for me. Now, but then the question you will ask, Donald Trump campaigned on a policy of America first, whether you like it or not. Like I said, I witnessed not only through TV, I witnessed physically some of these, and I interacted people during that campaign. They were divided in their, in their opinions. And I asked them, people, look, why are you now supporting this policy? The question they ask me is, turn this thing around. If you are Donald Trump, if you are an American, what you lose? I said, well, if I'm an American, the fact that all American presidents before him, most of them, welcomed migrants, welcomed, and then, like I said, as the big brother. Their policies are affecting the world, they're helping the world. So in summary, some of the orders he has given, they are not, they may, I believe he may have to. It may cause a lot of ripples, negative ripples. I'm not in support of all of them, for sure.
Okay, so you're not in support of all of them, but at this point I want to say thank you so much for being a part of the show, even this evening, Dr. Chime.
Thank you.
Well, we'll go for a short break right now. When we come back, we'll be talking to Chief M.O. Shitu. And I believe by then also Boluwatife Adekoye will also be talking to us on this conversation around SDGs and also humanitarian service across Nigeria and across African by extension. Let's also know the perspective right now. In the next 3 months, what will be happening to all the support agencies that American is pulling away from at this point. But stay with us. More conversation even here on this desk, which is our Gist Parlor. Go nowhere. The conversations continues in a moment.